What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the No World Order Podcast IG Live Edition. It is June 23rd, 2020, so welcome in. Waiting on Zach to pop on up, and we have an exciting discussion to talk about today. A lot to talk about, a lot is going on. So we are just waiting for Zach. Where you at? See if he pops up. There he is. Let's boom go live. And there he is.
Yo.
How is it going today?
Man, I'm trying to track down all these people accused of shit, and they keep popping up faster than I can get them written down.
Really? So even more, huh?
Yeah. Well, I had a list, and I, trying to be prepared and shit, so I typed it out, and I printed it, and then I get online to do this thing, and I see two more, one of which is a 16-year-old girl making allegations.
Jeez.
Or she's alleging that this happened when she was 16.
Yeah.
I can't keep up, dude. People are issuing apologies that I didn't even know were accused. I can't keep up. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
A lot of craziness has gone on. So I guess you just want to kind of get into that topic just right off the bat.
I mean, we may as well. There's no use talking about COVID shit anymore.
Right.
It's boring.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know exactly when it was, but the big one that kind of was brought to my attention was Chris D'Elia. Was that on the weekend or late last week or?
I think so. The first one I heard of was Danny Masterson from 70s Show, and I think that was Thursday. And then shortly after, I think Friday or Saturday was when D'Elia's was starting to gain popularity.
Yeah, so of course I remember Danny Masterson going through his whole problems initially when the allegations first came out, but yeah, from my understanding, he actually just got arrested, right?
Oh, shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was doing some research right now, and from my understanding, because he was brought up in the news again, and he was arrested. That's from what I read. I could be wrong, but that is what I read from just 30 minutes ago or whatever.
Okay, before I rabbit hole, talk about Chris, because I know Masterson's a Scientologist, so that's where my mind goes, but let's stay on the rape stuff. I mean, accusations of sexual misconduct.
Yeah. So then I got on Twitter, it was just trending like Chris D'Elia. So I looked into it, and man, that one was really interesting. And I immediately started hitting up a bunch of those comedians and podcasters kind of in that crew. And just to kind of see how they would kind of treat it. And initially there was a lot of silence. Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen, who do their podcast, kind of spoke out right away. Brendan Schaub kind of broke down and was crying. Brian Callen, he's a known actor. Brendan Schaub, I think, has done some acting here and there as well. People are saying Brendan was kind of taking it hard because once the D'Elia stuff settles down, he's going to be the next target. I guess he's having some accusations going on as well. So he was kind of crying not more because of him feeling bad, more because it was starting to hit close to home, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And then just with the whole D'Elia thing, I mean, he's played a pedophile twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Not to cut you off, but because I watch Workaholics, lovely show, by the way. If you haven't seen it, watch it. But he's in there, and I've always liked him. I thought he was funny. And Whitney, that's how I first knew about him. But he plays like a hardcore pedophile in that one, and I was like, ooh, this storyline's too Hollywood. Like, I, whatever. Then I was watching You, and then he does like almost the same thing, and I'm like, son of a bitch. What is he, typecast, or does he like these pedo roles? And then this shit came out, and it kind of blew my mind. Continue.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just really interesting because his fan base is called babies. Like, he calls his fans babies, you know what I mean? So, like, yeah, that's really weird. Some of those podcasters I talked about, like Theo Von and then Andrew Santino, who does another one, they've all made kind of jokes about him sleeping with really young women to underage women. Like, they've made those jokes before. And it's just interesting to kind of see those clips come up again. I've watched these guys for so long. Some of it I'm not really paying attention to half the time, you know what I mean? It's just in the background and it's just on, and you know what I mean? And it's just interesting kind of hearing these clips kind of surface again and being like, man, I guess, you know, they were kind of maybe planting the seeds or whatever. Everybody's coming out and kind of denying that they knew or anything like that. And we do have to take into account that they are comedians and stuff, but pedophilia stuff is like nothing to really joke about, honestly. And I find it really concerning Sam Tripoli's kind of, you know, like thoughts on it all. Like, I don't know, he definitely said, you know, if it's true, if Chris is found guilty for this, he should pay for his sins. He kept saying that over and over, but he kept getting mad seemingly at the wrong things and kind of misdirecting it just because it was kind of hitting too close to home. It's like, when have any of these accusations that come against celebrities ever really stuck? Unless they're in jail, you know what I mean? Most of them get dropped. So why are we treating these any differently? Like, why do we accuse Biden, or why do we accuse Bill Clinton so heavily when nothing has necessarily been proven? But now, you know, he goes after those people so heavily, but now he's like keen to protect his friends, you know?
Yeah, and like I really tried to see his point of view, and like I get the whole guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sorry, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
It currently is guilty until proven innocent. Like,
exactly.
That's basically what the media does, and I understand that aspect of it, but you gotta be really careful when you say shit like that when it comes to sexual abuse allegations and pedophilia allegations, because obviously that's going to be misconstrued or construed properly into people thinking you're supporting it, you're fucking protecting your friend, your fellow comedian friend. And he really, like, when Tripoli went off, he really did talk a lot about like how nice Delia is and how he'll help everybody, and like, I mean, I would feel silly if I said that about somebody. And then they were later found like 100% guilty of this shit. And I'm sitting there going, oh, well, like I was just praising a pedophile or a rapist.
Yeah.
Like that, I would back off. I wouldn't jump so hard to just defend, because he's saying like you're accusing him based on nothing. Okay, well, you're defending him based on nothing as well. Like, we've entered a new arena of thought where he's not just a person. Now he's a person accused of something, you know?
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. And obviously, like, at least on this show with you and me, pedophilia is not okay by any means.
Yeah, and not at all.
Fucking sexual misconduct and abuse of the opposite, or anybody, or anything, is not okay. I'm not okay with you fucking raping a cow either, you know? Like, we're not like that.
Yeah.
So,
and just quickly, what's that?
I'm not sure what Sam's thinking. He's probably very emotional. There's a lot going on, but...
Yeah. And just another thing with the Chris D'Elia thing, and then I'll move on to a couple others and kind of maybe a bigger picture thing of what could be going on. But Chris had this crazy rant on Pizzagate and how if you believe it, you're stupid and there's no way it's real, and he just was going really...
Because you would know about it if it was real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he was just being like I remember seeing that clip on his podcast and being like really pissed off. Like it really made me mad because it's like, how can you discount these things when it, again, a lot of conspiracy theories are rooted in truth. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can you just say these things are stupid and not real and then, you know, something like this happens? But getting back to kind of Sam Tripoli and then his connection with everything, I mean, he has been very outspoken against pedophilia for, you know, quite a while, as long as I've been listening to the Tinfoil Hat podcast and stuff. But there was another clip that kind of came around of him and Ari Shaffir, who is another comedian who has a very, you know, checkered past. He has done some crazy things. He's said some crazy things. But, you know, comedians are comedians, and it's like, you know, sometimes they do things to push the boundaries of what comedy and what art is. So some of those things, it's really hard to judge. But when he said, like, he took out his dick and, like, peed in front of, like, a 5-year-old, I don't know if it was a girl or a guy, it doesn't really matter, but a 5-year-old kid who was not his own kid, and then Sam was there, like, laughing along with it and stuff. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are you so protective kind of your friends, but yeah, you've been so outspoken when it comes to others?
And even if you want to play devil's advocate, because I saw that clip as well, I think you sent it to me. Like, you could be like, oh, well, you know, maybe behind closed doors after the show, Sam pulled him aside and told him that that's, you know, not okay, whatever. But this is where fucking people need to really nut up or overeat up or whatever. Yeah. And if someone's joking about fucking pedophilia shit in front of you, you need to say, whether you're on air or not, hey, not cool. That's not Joe. There was, who's that he's like a little person comedian. Is it Brad Williams?
Brad Williams, you know? Yeah.
So he's a raper. And I think he was doing a pod, and he had said he did the darkroom switch, which, for those who don't know, because you shouldn't, because it's fucking weird. It's when like a dude goes into a room with a girl to have sex, and then he switches out places with a friend of his. So Brad Williams is saying his friend went into a room to have sex with some girl. They did the darkroom switch, and then Brad Williams was the one having sex with this girl, and she didn't know. And I don't know who he's doing the pod with, but the guy next to him was like, that sounds like rape to me. And Brad was like, no, it's not rape. It was the darkroom switch. It was, you know, whatever, it's funny, whatever. And he's like, no, dude, that sounds like rape. Like, and he, like, credit to that guy. Like, that's how you should handle it. He fucking, and people are so afraid to say rape, too, I think. Yeah. But that dude threw it out there. Like, no, that sounds like rape, homie. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. So and that was, I know what podcast that was. That was Getting Doug with High, with Doug Benson. And I stopped watching that podcast by that point, but I do remember seeing that clip. And honestly, you can't even defend either of them, Doug Benson or the other guest, because it's like they were joking about it. Oh, hopefully it's past the statute of limitations, and you know what I mean? They were trying to cover for him in that aspect, you know what I mean? But regarding that one's tough to really say something, because has anybody ever come up? Did that woman ever come out and speak out and say, oh yeah, that was me, that did happen to me? Because without that, then we're just making false accusations and stuff. And that's what's really tough about all this, is these are comedians, these are, you know, people who talk for a living. There's hours and hours and hours of content that these guys have, and it's like, if nobody comes out and speaks out, then what are we really doing? And that's kind of what Sam is alluding to, and I do understand that, you know, and that's why my tweets were like, we have to see how this plays out, you know, we can't just, you know, rush to judgment, but the silence would be very kind of concerning, and initially there was a lot of silence.
Yeah, and like, I mean, Brad Williams said it himself. He said he did the darkroom switch and she had no idea. So if he's telling a joke, I didn't think it was. If he's telling the truth, which it looked like he was, because when people called him out on it, he was like, oh, no. Like, he like was confused. Like, he thought that was okay, and that's the fucking issue. So I'm gonna call him a raper, and if he has an issue with it, he can fucking hit me up. But fuck him, dude. You know. And everyone, I think if we need to be held accountable, people don't hold themselves accountable. And oh God, I guess going on the flip side, we don't know if these accusations are real. Some of them seem very interestingly timed.
Yeah.
I guess we could say.
Well, so that's kind of what I was going to get into. I was going to go over two more things that kind of tie in to a bigger picture from what I've seen. So another person connected with Sam and this whole crew is Joey Diaz. So I woke up the other morning and he was under attack. And there was an old video that surfaced of him saying that, like, he made women give him a blowjob for stage time and stuff like that. And he was asked how many women, and he was like over 20 women or something like that. And this was on the Joe Rogan podcast, like super early on. And so this is where I think the big, you know, the bigger picture thing comes into play. But again, with the Joey Diaz thing, he's always been upfront with who he is, his past, what he said, what he's done. And if, again, none of these women have come out. So it's like he just said something. Nobody's really came out and said, oh, yeah, that's true, that, you know, that I had to do that or whatever. So it's like, who knows? It's really hard to tell. But a lot of accusations are coming around the Joe Rogan circle, man, and all of these people are connected with Joe Rogan, and that's what's really interesting, because I don't know if it has anything to do with him being aware of sex trafficking or anything like that, but I do know he has recently signed a Spotify deal with, you know, an exclusive licensing deal with them, and he's gonna no longer be on YouTube. And I think he's been very kind of upset with how they've censored him. He used to live stream all the time. He used to do it live, and now he records them and they're like a day or two behind. I think something happened one time live and they kind of shut it down, and he wasn't really happy, and he's been kind of vocal about that kind of stuff for quite a while. And then just recently he had this guy Brett Weinstein on, where they were discussing Biden's failing cognitive capacity, and so it just seems like it is almost this kind of targeted attack to Joe Rogan and his kind of surrounding people. So who knows what allegations are true and what will stick, but it does kind of seem to be very timely and targeted.
Yeah, and I think if I heard correctly, Rogan didn't want to have Biden on. Like, he didn't want to have, like, presidential candidates. He was just like, nah. And then I want to say I even heard that one of the females pointing allegations is, like, part of the DNC committee or doing something with the DNC now. So, I mean, it seems interestingly timed. I haven't read, so we'll get into the wrestlers in a little bit, but of the people that I read about, I didn't see any, I didn't see police reports, or I didn't see any information of a police report. I didn't go through each one and, like, you know, enter their name into the police database or anything, but we are kind of just going off of what they're saying at the moment.
Yeah. So another thing I did find pretty interesting, and Sam Tripoli was actually pointing this out, and he has a great point, because this other comedian, Jeffrey Ross, who has, like, done the roasts and all of that kind of stuff, he's had accusations of him having a relationship with an underage female, and she was 15 and he was 33 at the time, and the female actually has pictures of and with him, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting. He denies all the accusations, and this happened around 99 to 2000, but yeah, it's just Sam was pointing out how when you Google Chris D'Elia, the first thing that pops up now is, you know, these accusations. I still Googled Jeffrey Ross and had to add accusations to find any information about it. So the manipulation is there for sure and to be pointed out.
Yeah, I mean, Seinfeld did the same thing. He was like in his 40s dating a 17-year-old, and everyone was okay with him having the fucking most popular show in the world. There's for sure people sheltering other people from it. Who else has some shit going on against them? Delia's a big one. Danny Masterson kind of, in my eyes, kind of got it started.
So I mean, another big one. Another big one is Joe Biden. He has that female, that Tara Reid, who has came out and accused him. You know what I mean? And the assault took place in '93. He, of course, denies allegations. With that being said, I do have to say Donald Trump has been accused 17 times, spanning from the 70s all the way up until about 2013. He, of course, denies all out accusations. I don't think he was ever found guilty on any charges. So again, what does all of this mean? Like, when nothing is ever found, what does it really mean?
And I don't know. What was the name of this show? I forgot the name of the show I watched, but it addressed rape and how it's dealt with, and how it's dealt with within like the police community. And if they even think it's one of their own, they fucking everything under the rug. And if another police is investigating a possible rapist that is like a policeman, they don't get any fucking help and they get shot. So I know once it, like when it hits your crew, it's different than the world seeing it. So I don't know if, and I do know that like when assault happens, especially against, I'm just speaking against like when sexual assault happens against females, it's a big undertaking mentally and emotionally and physically in some cases to pick themselves back up and be able to do anything without living in that fucking mental prison of being assaulted sexually. You know what I mean? So I understand. I kind of understand if there's not police reports for all these things, because not many females can get raped one night and the next morning brush themselves off and go down to the police station and report it. You know, like I think I've only heard of that in date rape by Sublime. That's the only place I've heard of that happening, but like not in real life. So I also don't think hitting it on Twitter is like the best way to get somewhere. Like, unless you just want to totally defame that person, I feel like the legal route with a little bit of privacy thrown in there may be more constructive for that person and their self-growth and closure. But it's never happened to me, so I guess I don't know.
That's true, because it does seem like a lot of these people, after the fact, only go to the media instead of actually doing a police report. But maybe the statute of limitations are up. They need more evidence to build a case, more people to come out. So that's why they go to the media, to see if other people, because sometimes it feels like, from my understanding, they kind of get blocked. And like you're saying, they don't necessarily go right after the attack, just due to fear or whatever the case is, you know what I mean? So I don't know what they would do in that situation.
I guess so, because if something happened that was unjust to me, I wouldn't be like, I'm gonna fucking make a police report and go to court. I would like, that takes too long, it's too much money. I'd get the public fired up. And then once you have the public behind you, then you have a little bit more power to wield, and maybe you can not have to go through all of the fucking red tape that you would if you were doing it the traditional legal way.
Yeah. So
maybe that does make more sense. I mean, a lot of these, at least the wrestlers that we're going to talk about, have already been fired. No investigation, no nothing, just fucking gone. So I mean, I guess it is more effective than making a police report in some cases.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So that's kind of the names that I saw and kind of, did my research on. And I did hear the Jerry Seinfeld thing. I haven't looked into that one, so that's why that one wasn't on my list. But I did hear about it. I just didn't get a chance to look into it. But yeah, why don't you get us into all of the wrestling things? I have seen some of those names, so I will definitely be somewhat aware of some of them and have some comments, but you'll definitely be taking charge of this one.
And there's a few that I'm kind of gonna focus on because a lot of them are like indie wrestlers that I don't actually know a whole lot about.
Yeah.
But we'll just hit it real hard, real quick. Jack Gallagher, who was in the cruiserweight classic, and then got to be on 205 Live, and he recent heel turn, then face turn. He got some new ink lately, getting a good push. He's a really good wrestler in the ring. He's from the UK. He was accused of rape, and WWE released him. I don't know. They've stated like what they do for allegations, what they do for proven allegations, and so like they have a fucking like a schema for what they're doing, and they decided that it was their call to immediately release him, which kind of leads me to think that it's founded, and maybe he admitted to it to them behind closed doors, and they're like, okay, fuck you, dude, you're fired. Then I don't know, but that's a big one, and they obviously weren't concerned about how he's been getting a push lately, and now he's gone. So they're like WWE is, and that kind of says something too. Like you look at these different companies or how people are handling it, and you can tell who really wants it to be known that they're taking it seriously. So Gallagher's gone. Jordan Devlin, who was cruiserweight champion, and then once the COVID thing started, he has to stay in the UK, so they did a separate tournament over here. But he was accused by some chick named Hannah Francesca. She posted some pictures of something like bruises on her leg and shit, and she had said I'm so scared right now. Jordan Devlin did this to me, and I saw one pretty good sized bruise on her leg. A few of them I think with her no clothes on, so they're edited, so you couldn't really tell. But she came out and accused him. WWE is looking into that. Some indie wrestler named David Starr. A big one that I'm really interested in seeing where it goes is Matt Riddle, my bro. Which sucks. I really like Matt Riddle, and I really like his character, and his UFC story, and he's kind of like a family man. Like he has kids and he's happily married. But some I think she's also indie, named Candy Cartwright. I guess they had a physical relationship, consensual. And then she said one night they were cruising in a van with some other people, and he came onto her. She denied, and then she said he kind of threatened, well, what if I just grab you by the throat and make you fuck me, basically. And so she, did some stuff to kind of get him off her back. But he straight up, Matt Riddle is saying no, not true at all. And he responded to somebody on Twitter saying hey, that's not true, and really be careful what you believe with nothing to back it up.
Yeah.
I mean, he could be a new motherfucker and just be I know there's no proof, so she has nowhere to go. But he seems to be, I guess, taking it in stride. And he recently got called from NXT to SmackDown. Made his SmackDown debut. He's getting a huge push. So this is coming at a very crucial time for him. But he could be fucking fired in a day or two. I mean, if WWE figures out that it's founded and it happened, and he fucking, well, he didn't rape anybody. I guess that wasn't even the accusation. But still, you know what I mean? He could be up for punishment. Travis Banks, who's NXT. Huh?
I don't think so. It's just an accusation of him saying I would do this or something.
So Candy said he grabbed her by the throat and said, "What if I just make you?" And alluding to sex.
Okay,
and so she said,
but didn't actually do anything as far as we know, and that's the only accusation. So no rape or sexual, okay, I got it. So he definitely should not lose his job.
I mean, so it's
because now we're just going off of hearsay again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fucking true, man. But if this chick felt scared enough to like go down on him because she thought he was gonna physically abuse her, like that's an issue. I don't know if this is the most optimal way for her to address it for her growth and closure, but it's a way to address it, I guess.
Yeah.
Travis Banks, who's NXT UK. Interesting about him in the article that I found, it specifically has his age of 33 years old.
I know. Jeff Ross, too.
Yeah, I know. I got that. And independent wrestler Millie McKenzie, so there's another double M, which is another 33, accused him of being abusive, and allegedly this started when she was 17. So there we start to see the underage shit take place. Progress Wrestling has cut ties with them. I didn't see what WWE has done. He's probably suspended pending investigation. Go on to the next page because there's a million of them. Mark Perry, Jimmy Havoc. Jimmy Havoc, I believe, so he's AEW and he is, I want to say, like in like rehab or something now, and he has to take sensitivity classes. AEW suspended him and they're donating his pay to like a women's charity in the area. So like AEW is like hard, fast, and making an example out of him, I think.
Yeah.
Which is fine. You know what I mean? Like if you do this shit, you get fucking caught, and they need to, cut off your head and put it on a stick out front so everyone knows not to fuck around. Like, okay, that's how they're doing it. But AEW doesn't seem like they're fucking around. Also, Sammy Guevara, who is pretty big, getting a real big push. He's been doing great since AEW started. On a podcast from 2016, he said he'd like to rape Sasha Banks. And like, what? Like, I don't know what goes through fucking people's heads sometimes. Like, he could have said like ravaged. Like, even ravaged, like it's a little more like it walks the line. It's like, oh, I'd like to ravage her sexually. Still not like great, but fucking, oh, I'd like to rape her. Like, you sound like a fucking maniac, horny lunatic, dude. But this is interesting because this time last year, Sasha Banks had kind of walked away from WWE. Now she's back. She's one half of the women's tag team champions. And she said on her Twitter that her and Sammy had like a private phone conversation. They fucking like worked some shit out, and she's taking it in stride. She addressed it, and she's like moving on. But Guevara's in. I think he's suspended as well. They're making an example out of him. Joey Ryan accused. I read somewhere that Joey Ryan's been accused by like a dozen people or so.
And he's really the guy with the lollipop, right?
Yeah, see, like he's one of my favorite wrestlers. I love that gimmick. And it sucks because art imitating life, imitating art. He looks like a 70s, 80s porn star. Like that's his gimmick. He has the stash and way too much chest hair. He's all oily. He pulls the lollipop out of his pants and sticks it in people's mouth, and it's fucking hilarious. But he admitted to acting inappropriately in a lot of different situations and acknowledged it. He said he realized a few years ago that he was going down a dark path, basically. His marriage ended, so he had gone to like therapy and counseling. So he's aware that he has some issues. Sounds like he's been addressing them for a few years. I don't know how this is going to impact him. He owns and runs, I believe, Bar Wrestling, which has more views online than like any other wrestling promotion. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Bar Wrestling, because that was on track to be one of the biggest promotions historically, at least in this time period. He was also tag team champions. I think PWG tag team champions with Candice LeRae, who's in NXT right now. But they've known each other since, gosh, I want to say high school, maybe a little after that. And the only reason I know that is because I have a friend who's friends with Candice, and she was friends with Joey Ryan when they were all younger. So LeRae kind of not fired back, but she tweeted and acknowledged, like, yeah, I was tag team champs with Joey Ryan. He's my boy. We're friends. But this shit is fucked up. You shouldn't be doing this shit. It's disgusting. I'm appalled, blah, blah, blah. Like, really sticking it to him. So I mean, that, I guess that is what, I just thought that was interesting that she's out there saying, because she was tag team champs with them. Like, they were world's cutest tag team. And this is very interesting. Mike Elgin suspended from Impact. Oh, and Joey Ryan was fired from Impact. Wow. Dave Christ, who I'm unaware of, was fired from Impact.
So, hold up. What was Joey Ryan's accusations? Or what did he do?
So the one specific one that I had read, I think in tweet form, was like an indie wrestler saying they were in a car together, driving from one town to another, and he just reached over and like groped her, you know. And in that same article, somebody said he had like a dozen allegations. That was the only one I read. He acknowledged it and said, "Yeah, I've basically like was kind of an asshole, was pushing my weight around, was really, I think he was really feeling himself in the business at that point." And almost all of these people that are accusing wrestlers of misconduct are younger females, and the older males kind of offer to like show them the ropes, literally and metaphorically, and like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm established in wrestling, so hang out with me, I'll teach you some shit, I'll get you in good. And then they kind of turn around and they're like, but I'm gonna fucking grab you for no reason. Yeah. So like that is an unequal distribution of like power or authority or influence, and that's one of the big things to look for in rape and sexual misconduct allegations. At least I think so, because they do feel like they're subservient. If you're younger, you're less experienced, it's your first day at a new job, and someone says, "Hey, come with me, kid, do this." You're like, "Fuck, okay, like I guess I'm supposed to because this is my first day here. I don't know what's going on."
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But from what I read about Joey Ryan, he had, and I think he even deleted his Twitter after that, but you can still see screenshots. He kind of owned up to all of it and said, like, "I'm fucked up. I've been addressing it. I'm going to continue to address it. I'm fucking sorry." Kind of as, I mean, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but yeah. He didn't deny it. He didn't lie about it. Another NXT UK wrestler, Ligero, and there was one other one. Where is it? Too many rapes for one piece of paper. Mm-hmm. Was it Mark? Mark Haggerty. Here we go. And I think he was doing Major League Wrestling. I think he was doing announcing. I'm not sure if he was a wrestler, but he was outed by like a 15 or 16-year-old, and she has screenshots of their text message conversations, and it's like he's like, "Hey, how are you doing?" She's like, "Oh, good. I just got out of the shower." And then he tries to FaceTime her, or like, "Send me pictures of this," or "I like when you do that." And it's very inappropriate for him being an adult and her being fucking 15. MLW fired him. And an interesting one is TJ Perkins said when he was, I don't know if it was in WWE or not, but in his wrestling career, that an older female tried to like get him to do some sexual shit, kind of alluding that, she'd help him out or whatever. And that's the first one I've read of a male calling out a female.
Yeah.
But of course that's not going to gain traction because that's not what the narrative in general wants to push, I don't think. I got one more, and this isn't necessarily like a rape allegation, but it definitely falls under this Me Too, the sequel, Me Too 2. Uh-huh. I think I called it Me Too Electric Boogaloo. So Jim Cornette was accused of, basically he and his wife tried to get wrestlers that are coming up in the business to do shit to his wife. So Jim Cornette's wife texts you and says, "Hey, Drew, you're an up-and-coming wrestler. I'm gonna fucking fuck you. Come over to my house." And a few wrestlers have come out and said, like, "Yeah, that's fucking true." So Jim Cornette and his wife are trying to get people over there, and allegedly they do it in exchange for offers of, like pushing or booking or whatever. And Jim Cornette's response makes me think that he's even more guilty, because he said, let me read it. I'm going to read it so I don't misquote it.
Yeah.
He says, I know that my name has to be involved in everything because it gets attention. Already, I'm like, you fucking asshole. And he says, but I'm too busy running a pizza parlor from the basement of my pedophile ring to make any Twitter goofs, and there's 700 fake accounts famous today. What the fuck? If someone says, hey, that dude's wife tried to get me to sleep with her, and he was going to give me better booking. Why does he go to pedophilia? Why is he talking about, and why does he say I'm running the pizza parlor in my pedophile ring? What?
I know. I read that too, and I was like, why that response?
What the fuck? And, hi, FBI, if you want to investigate something, investigate Jim Cornette saying he has a pedophile ring in his basement. What? If we're taking these accusations seriously from these women, as we should, I think, until further evidence comes out, why the fuck aren't we taking Jim Cornette's? He's putting it in plain sight. He says he's got a pedophile ring in his basement.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go find out where he lives, and I'm gonna look up the fucking stats. And if his house has a basement, I'm gonna call it cops. That's what I'm gonna do. But interesting side note on that, he was doing OVW stuff, and a lot of these wrestlers are saying like, yeah, the new upcoming wrestlers, he was trying to fucking get to bang his wife or whatever. And I was looking at some of the OVW people around the time that he was there, and it's like that classic 2002 group of people that's like Batista and Cena and Orton and Lesnar. And it's just really weird to think that some of them may have been approached by Cornette and his wife to do some sexual shit in exchange for fucking bookings. Yeah. Very weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it runs deep, and I think Jim Cornette is a fucking Looney Tune. He also said something about how the screenshots were fake because the profile pic in the screenshots was new. And I'm like, it's another case of old people not knowing how the fucking internet works, man. Like, and he was so confident. He's like, oh, but that's for the lawyers to discuss. No, idiot. If you have a message from somebody from 3 years ago and they change their profile pic, it changes in that 3-year-old message. What? Like, get off the internet, dude. You're just making it worse for yourself. It's insane. But yeah, fucking this has run rampant through wrestling, and I expect. Oh, and then the ones that I saw right before we got on, I didn't get a chance to read about them. Marty Scurll is being accused by a 16-year-old. And so that's like 4 of these stories involving some sort of reference to underage/pedophilia. Very fucking weird. And then Austin Aries apparently has some accusations against him, but he flat out says, nope, not fucking true. I'm not an abuser. I'm not a user, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of believe him because he's very straightforward about shit, including his faults. But I haven't had a whole chance to read about them, but those are the 2 that I saw right before. Those are big names. Those are big names going down.
Dude, that's a crazy list. That's like a big list, honestly. Like, I didn't even know all of that.
Past champion. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of on the same, obviously on the same subject. What do you know about the Tom Hanks subject?
I know some of the pictures that have come under fire or questioning. I know his ties to Isaac Cappy are strange. And then, of course, there's the obvious stuff like he's America's sweetheart. He's doing Mr. Rogers. He was one of the first ones to have COVID. There's all that shit. So there's a lot of weird shit there. As far as the pedo shit, I think his Instagram is probably the biggest source of speculation, because he'll post like a fucking pacifier in the middle of the road, or like a little baby sock in the middle of a road or on a dirt road, and he makes like weird fucking comments like, I don't know, I hope there's not a baby nearby, or just like weird fucking shit. Like, you're an old actor. What are you doing? You're not an artist. Like, a sock in the middle of the road is not art for you. So what the fuck is it? I know there's a picture of him with Oprah, and he has a black eye, and there's like a clock with hot dogs in the background, and he's holding a sign that says like "Help me" or like "I can't talk." One of those 2, something like that. It's been a while, but there's like suspicion surrounding him, and like more and more and more. And
dude, so I saw this YouTube video called like Pedogate Tom Hanks 2020 or something like that last night. And dude, it's so, like, the whole thing is so gross. It's like, there is something going on with his Instagram for sure. And one of these ones with the glove, and it's like SRC USA or something like that. And if you type that in this Russian, like, Google, it's their Google. It's their Russian, Yeah, it would be an equivalent to Google or whatever, just a search engine. Um, it basically is advertising pedophilia on the regular web. And I think you don't have to just be in Russia to access this, search engine. I didn't try it myself to see if I can just type in the search engine and if it would work. Maybe you do have to be in Russia, I don't know. But it brought up, yeah, like, kids in just pedophilia and the whole FBI kind of language and all of that, and just right there displayed kind of on the regular web, not even on the like dark web where it usually is, you know what I mean? And yeah, Tom Hanks was kind of linked with that picture of the glove with that SRC USA, which leads, if you search that and type that in, that leads to some pedophilia shit on this website. And the person I saw who was doing the video, it's like, I don't understand how people can even like research this shit and like make a video about it, because it's like I was watching it and I was feeling so disturbed and like so gross, you know what I mean? And it wasn't showing anything graphic, but just the fact that it was right there, you know what I mean? And they blocked it or they reported it. I mean, you know what I mean? That like whenever he came across a page, he made sure to go and report it to the FBI and all that shit, and like saying pedophilia is on the web and stuff, you know what I mean? Like get it shut down. So that is a case for, doing a research and making like a documentary thing into it. But it blows my mind how people can even kind of research it and document it, because it's like you're still looking into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's tough and it's gross and it's like, I think most people can't even like admit or acknowledge that it happens and exists. I think, you know what I mean? Like probably like, okay, yeah, I read an article about someone having sex with a kid, and it happens every once in a while, and people don't realize it's happening as a means of entertainment / currency.
Yeah.
And it's happening in a correlated way all around the world.
Yeah.
By secret people. They don't acknowledge it, they don't get it, they don't agree with it, whatever, but it's hard. That's one of those subjects that's like hard to research, and you have to be in the right frame of mind, and then you need to like immediately after watch like fucking something dumb afterwards to kind of
something funny, mindless. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say Boy Meets World because I'm currently rewatching, but
yeah,
I want to watch a show.
Number one show.
I love it. It's so great to rewatch the whole thing again.
Where are you at on it right now?
Like episode 6 of the first season.
Nice.
We just restarted. Yeah, we started watching the next season of Horror Story, so we need something to balance it out after.
Yeah.
So that I'm bootlegging the Disney Channel, and it's on there. So
nice.
So that's cool. But yeah, that's one of those subjects that it's tough to even acknowledge. It's ridiculous, but I mean, if any of these allegations shed any light on that for the normal lay person, that pedophilia is nurtured in some areas, then maybe we'll get more eyes on it. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But,
yeah, no, that's all I'm saying is just doing the research and like finding where it exists, and to like even make people aware of it is like, oh, I couldn't do it because it's like you're still looking it up, and just seeing even the non-graphic stuff, I was just like, oh, I don't even want to watch this. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
I do, because at one point Tosh, Tosh Point oh, because he did all the online shit and fails and whatever. At one point, he found something that was like super, super fucking YouTube pedophile channel, and it had like, I don't know the number, but like a fucking bajillion subscribers and viewers, and people were commenting, hey, at 8 minutes 34 seconds, like, girls bending over, and it's like little fucking kids and shit. So he found it and he talked about it on the show and he fucking tore it to shit in traditional Tosh.0 style, and then it got removed. But that's just one, like that's just one fucking channel. There, it's everywhere.
That's what this that Tom Hanks little connection thing was. It was basically like little kids channels and like, that type of content. And dude, yeah. The descriptions, like how the pictures were titled and stuff were just like, oh, like sexy young girl with lips out or something. Like, oh, dude, I was just like, oh man, I could not even. Just researching it just gross. Like, I don't understand how someone could do that. But like, we need those people to shine the light on it for sure to make people aware of it. But yeah, I mean, any sane person I feel would be just as uncomfortable as I am watching it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I still follow like animal Instagrams where they show like the fucking stupid shit people do with the animals, just rude, mean, killing them, whatever. And like, I don't like to watch it, but it's like a reminder of why I don't eat meat, why I don't fucking wear my leather jacket anymore. Like, it's a reminder of how much more work we have to do on the animal front. And like, I wouldn't watch a pedophilia video, but when I see those things, it's kind of like, it's just a reminder how much more work we have to fucking do.
Yeah, on that aspect, I get it. For the animals thing, I never need to see another, like, one of those videos. It is, I learned, I'm aware of why I don't need that reminder anymore. Sometimes I'll smell, something cooking like bacon or something. For a brief moment, it might smell okay, but the longer it lingers, I get sick. You know what I mean? And it makes me start to feel uneasy and unsettling. So it's like, I'm fully aware, and that, like, when people like repost those animal videos and stuff, I just get so sad because I'm like, oh, it breaks my heart. But it needs to be shown to people who aren't aware of it or who do need that reminder. But it's like, I don't need that reminder. I'm aware.
You get a pass.
Yeah.
If you're vegan, you get a pass. Like, you shouldn't have to watch it. But I think the more and more I find out about myself, I am the fucking crazy guy from Bird Box, just like peeling people's eyes back so they can see what's going on. And at least on the animal things, it's tough, but it's kind of like a vaccine. Like, I see it and I'm like, oh, like, it like reignites my fire. And I'm like, give me some more kittens to foster so I can fucking fight this, you know? But yeah, the pedophilia thing, I tend to just like, hey, look at this fucking circling triangle, or that was a weird comment that they just made. Like, even in TV shows, they like Chris D'Elia, bring it full circle. Delia playing a pedophile in Workaholics. Did they need to have a pedophile in Workaholics? No. They they didn't need that. You don't need these pedophilia like roles and this shit out there. And I'm glad, like, at least we talk about it, and like Tinfoil talks about it, because there is this big push to normalize it. And like, the more and more that time goes on, the more these lines are going to be blurred. And I know they're going to try to sneak pedophilia into the LGBTQ community. I know they are.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're the same people, but I'm saying the higher ups are going to sneak it in there.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be infiltrated for sure. Just like the Black Lives Matter movement has been infiltrated right now. And it's like, of course, Black Lives Matter. That's, obvious to, like, I would assume a majority of people. Of course, there's still racist people out there. I don't think it's at a high percentage like people like to say. But, yeah,
it's rough, but I'm glad at least some of us are trying to get it out into the open and let people know, like, hey, this shit fucking happens. And if anyone takes anything away from this, protect your fucking kids and watch what they're fucking watching. And keep them fucking close. Don't just give them an iPad and put them in the shopping cart. Everyone, I'm fucking talking to you. Don't put them in an iPad and put them in the stroller and just leave them there, dude. And make these relationships with your kids tell them who and who not to trust. Watch what they're watching. That's one of the fucking biggest ones. And don't just assume because it's a kids channel on YouTube, there's not going to be references to pedophilia or fucking playing with needles, because I've seen it. I work with kids and I fucking scan what they're watching and I fucking have seen it. It's everywhere. I'm feeling like I'm going off on a tangent, but for whatever reason, there's this big push to have our kids fucking mature much more quickly and to fucking torment and dement their fucking minds at a very young age. Everyone just needs to be on this united front. It takes a fucking village to raise a kid, and we all need to be contributing members of that fucking village. Watch out for that fucking kid. You see a fucking parent hit a kid, fucking call him out right there. You see this shit going on, fucking put a stop to it. Be there for your fucking friends. Be there for your fucking kids. Watch that fucking creepy man creeping by the elementary school. Like, this is a united front. This is how we need to be, period. You know?
Yeah.
Get it out there.
Yeah, it's true. But like I was saying, it's like the Black Lives Matter, of course, but the infiltrated message now is like something I can't support. And that just goes kind of like, I lost my train of thought again. Oh, I fucking hate that shit. Oh, man. But it's the same thing when a group, that's what I was getting at, the LGBTQ thing or whatever, it's going to be infiltrated and they're going to make and try and normalize pedophilia like how they infiltrated the Black Lives Matter thing and completely changed the message, and now it's all about anarchy and all of that. So the manipulation and the infiltration kind of happens. We have about 3 minutes left, so we can start wrapping it up.
We ran through this one, man.
Yeah, quick one. And I had no idea about all those wrestling names, man. That is crazy. But it's really interesting about the whole Joe Rogan crew and the timing of that whole thing. And we'll see kind of what happens and what plays out, and if anything really sticks, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. And if you are someone that throw a PSA out there, if you are someone that has dealt with sexual misconduct or abuse or anything, find someone to talk to about it. I want to say that's the first step. Even before having to admit it to yourself, find someone you're comfortable with, therapist, family member, fucking friend, whatever, and get it out. I think getting it out to someone is the first step, and really focus on yourself and what you need, and gaining closure and gaining that control back into your life. Don't let them take it away from you. You know what I mean? I know of a few different people that have told me when I was in high school, at least when I was younger, of experiences they had with dudes around town. And these dudes are still walking around, and it sucks. Like, I know this shit happens. I know it does. And just, if you're a victim of it, hang in there, find someone to talk to. There's my heartfelt PSA. That's as real as I can get. What else to wrap it up? You want to plug?
Just tune in to, did the YouTube change? Is it at Real Word 420 or is it Cult of Personalities now? I don't know what. Type in either one. You'll find it at the Real Word Podcast, No World Order Podcast, Drew and Chase Side by Side, Tuesday Morning Tokes. It's all there. Make sure to like, share, subscribe. This will be uploaded audio only tomorrow at 3:30, so a full 24 hours away. We started planting some tomatoes, some potatoes, some basil, and some dill. So I'm excited about that.
We need to offshoot and do a gardening show, man, because mine's popping off. I got fucking cucumbers and zucchini growing.
I know. Your guys' garden inspired me, and I was like, I gotta start growing something. Yeah. So that's we did that yesterday. Planted that yesterday.
That's the real anarchy. That is the real anarchy.
Exactly.
Growing your own food. Because other fuckers are just chaos agents.
Exactly. So that is.
Let's push both the personalities. I like that.
Yeah.
We'll make sure it works, and I'll make sure the link works, because as of right now, I'm pretty sure it takes us, on the Instagram link takes us to YouTube. So click that if you're interested.
Yep. Go to that, and make sure to like, share, subscribe. This was a really fast episode. Went by really quick. Yeah, thank you, man, and I'm sure we will talk soon.
Yeah.
All right, until next time. Peace.
Later.